Next panel is going to take a look at some issues, and we'll be having Senator Kerry join us just momentarily. He'll be part of this discussion about this topic, energy security and climate change and national security. Now, this is something of increasing interest. I'd like to welcome, please, Lieutenant General Norman Sipe, retired. Come on up. Join us. Why don't you sit here? General Sipe's last assignment was commander of the 12th Air Force at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Arizona. As a commander of Air Forces Southern, a component of the combatant commander, he oversaw Air Force assets, 5 forward operating locations, civil and military engagements in Central and South America, as well as the Caribbean. We were chatting earlier, and he was telling me how this issue of energy and energy's impact on national security is something that concerned him as a commander and certainly concerns him now. I'd also like to bring up John Gensler. John Gensler is an Iraq War veteran, so a round of applause for him and his service. Thank you to both of you for your service to the country. John was born and raised in Huntington, West Virginia. Anybody from West Virginia here? Maybe so. After graduating with the class of 2000 from the United States Military Academy at West Point, he served as a tank platoon leader and infantry mortar platoon leader with the 1st Battalion, 68th Armor Regiment out of Fort Carson, Colorado. After serving in Iraq in 2003, 2004, John returned to Fort Carson, completed his service in 2005. He is currently pursuing a dual MBA, MPA from the MIT Sloan School of Management and Harvard University's John F. Kennedy School of Government, expecting to earn both. In May of 2011, John is nothing if not accomplished and ambitious, so welcome.
Maybe ambitious, not accomplished yet.
Well, you're off to a pretty good start. General, while we're waiting for the Senator to join us, start us off on this profound connection, as you see it, with this issue of energy/climate and national security.
Well, it's real simple, and you'll see in the advertisements here, $1 billion a day going overseas to governments that don't necessarily have our best interests in mind. This long war and terror that we've started back in 9/11, a few years back, this is the first conflict since the Civil War where we're funding both sides of the conflict. So our sons and daughters that we're charged to protect in our military are being shot at with weapons that are being paid for by us.
You mentioned the ads. I'd like to roll the ads now. These are from Vote Vets, and then we're going to have Senator Kerry join us.
Moving fuel in a combat zone. It's a job that's cost over 1,000 American lives. I should know. I was the chief of logistics in Iraq, working for General Petraeus. Our troops are getting killed moving fuel we wouldn't need if our military was more efficient. And our enemies know that we're hooked on their oil. Iran alone makes $100 million extra every day because of it. That's why breaking our addiction must not only be a military priority, but America's mission. And why the Senate needs to pass a clean energy climate plan. It'll put Americans to work developing new energy technologies that'll save lives overseas, make us less dependent and more secure, so we see less of this and more of this. It's time for our senators to choose. Keep spending $1 billion a day on foreign oil, or produce more power here at home. Pass a clean energy climate plan that makes us more secure, or let America keep paying the price.
That's the type of IED that earned me a Purple Heart in Iraq 6 years ago. This is what our troops are up against today.
It can penetrate 4 inches of armor.
EFPs, specially designed to pierce American military armor. It's a devastating weapon, and it was created in oil-rich Iran, and they're ending up in the hands of our enemies. And every time oil goes up $1, Iran gets another $1.5 billion to use against us. Connection between oil and the enemy couldn't be clearer. We need to break that connection by breaking our addiction. And we can by passing a clean energy climate plan. They'll cut our dependence on foreign oil in half Some in Congress say it's a tough vote. Not as tough as what our troops are up against.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, two powerful messages. As you can see, we've been joined by Senator Kerry. Senator Kerry, welcome to you. Senator Kerry, as you know, is the senator from Massachusetts, chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, and for decades in public service, he has been a leading voice in the environmental community and is certainly a leading voice in the energy legislation that is being pursued right now. He led the Senate effort to make environmental preservation a global priority through treaties and through pushing for inclusion of important environmental protections in free trade agreements. He's also the lead author of the American Power Act, which is the piece of legislation that we're here discussing today, and that is very much sort of on the line in terms of where it's going. So, Senator Kerry, welcome to you. Perhaps you can give us a fill on, we're of course talking national security here, but I know there's a lot of concern in the room that's already been expressed about this bill, so let you have a few moments to give us a fill from your perspective.
Well, thank you, Frank, very, very much. And it's an honor for me to be here with General Sipe and Jonathan Gensler, an Iraqi vet. I appreciate the work of a lot of Iraqi vets, Iraqi, Afghanistan, current era vets, who understand the connection between national security and our dependency on oil. You know, sending $365 billion a year to a lot of countries that don't like us very much, a significant amount of which money finds its way to Afghanistan, Pakistan, to the Al-Qaeda on the Arabian Peninsula, Yemen, Somalia, Sudan, and so forth. This is dangerous stuff, folks. And the truth is that we have not reduced our dependency on oil 1 percentage point, not 1 percentage point, since 9/11, let alone since the 1970s when Richard Nixon and then Jimmy Carter and others have talked about America's addiction to oil. You know, frankly, the only thing you can say about this is crazy. This is a kind of, you know, this is what I call the ostrich policy. Put your head in the sand and pretend nothing's going on around you. Because we're on a terrible track right now, not just with respect to national security, but with respect to everything that the science tells us is happening. Every single area of the science where predictions have been made is coming back faster, worse than was predicted. The levels of carbon dioxide that are going into the ocean is higher, the acidity is higher, it's damaging the ecosystem of the oceans, you know, all of our marine you know, crustaceans that depend on the formation of their shells. That acidity undoes that. Coral reefs, the spawning grounds for fish. Run that one down and you'll see the dangers. Predictions of sea level rise are now 3 to 6 feet. They're higher than were originally going to be predicted over the course of this century because nothing's happening, but the causes and effects are cumulative. The Arctic ice is disappearing faster than was predicted. And instead of waiting until 2030 or whenever it was to have an ice-free Arctic, we're going to have one in 5 or 10 years. I mean, you can run every single prediction. The Audubon Society, not exactly, you know, an ideological entity on the right or the left or wherever in America, has reported that its members are reporting a 100-mile swath in the United States of America where plants, shrubs, trees, flowers, things that used to grow, don't grow anymore. You go out to Colorado. Governor Ritter was here recently talking to us about 1 million acres of forest that's been destroyed because of the pine beetle, pine beetle that used to die off but doesn't die off now because it doesn't get cold anymore. So you can run down a list, folks, long list.